The afternoon sun fell across the coffee table as Joseph Walker and his 13-year-old grandson, Lucas, scrolled through the home Wi-Fi router log.
Grandpa, I want my science fair project to analyze our home network traffic. Everyone uses Wi-Fi, right? So I can show device patterns.
Smart thinking, Luke. Let's pull up the logs. The router keeps a record of every gadget that ever tapped our signal.
Joseph keyed in the admin password, and the screen filled with a long list of MAC addresses, each stamped with a connection time.
Wait, look at this one. MAC address ends in EF21. It connects Monday through Friday, exactly at noon, and always disconnects at 1.
Probably a neighbor's phone that remembered our password. Sometimes devices jump on without you realizing. Nothing sinister.
But it's so precise, Grandpa. Only on the days you volunteer at the library. Every single weekday at lunch. That's not random.
Maybe someone has a lunch break and checks their email around that time. Routine can look strange when you graph it. I wouldn't read too much into it.
But as Lucas shrugged and went back to labeling the other devices, Joseph found his gaze lingering on that single line of data. The timing matched his volunteer shifts with unsettling symmetry. He told himself it was nothing, but the data was already whispering a question he wasn't ready to hear. That evening, after Lucas had gone to bed, Joseph returned to the laptop. The house stood quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator. He opened his volunteer schedule from the library's website. The shifts lined up like lock and key. Every weekday he was out, the mystery device appeared.
Coincidence. It has to be. But the numbers didn't blink.
The next morning, in the kitchen, Margaret poured coffee. Joseph leaned against the counter and asked, casual about her afternoon plans.
What did you get up to yesterday? I forgot to ask when I got home.
Oh, I was just napping. A bit of a headache. You know how it is.
Right. The quiet helps.
Margaret carried her cup to the living room, and Joseph watched her go. The calm in her voice was the same as always, yet something hung in the air that hadn't been there before.
She's always napped at noon. He'd never questioned it. Now the timing felt precise in a way that made his chest tighten.
He didn't press further. He wasn't ready for the answer if there was one. But the seed had taken root, and the data kept whispering. The following afternoon, with the house empty, Joseph opened the router admin again. He clicked the unknown MAC, and the details filled the screen. iPhone 12, a model number, and a MAC address that was now burned into his memory. He downloaded a Wi-Fi analyzer app onto his own phone. The interface was simple, a radar-like display of nearby signal strengths. If the phone was still in range, he could follow it.
If I can trace the signal, I'll know once and for all if this is just a stray connection or something else entirely.
He stepped outside and walked slowly down the sidewalk, eyes fixed on the app. The decibel reading rose with each house, a ghost getting louder. The numbers spiked sharply in front of a blue 2-story house with a well-manicured lawn. A mailbox near the curb read Sayers in crisp white letters.
Richard Sayers, a retired widower. Why would his phone be latching onto my network every single weekday?
He held the phone steady. The signal didn't waver. For a full minute, he stood there, the invisible thread pulling tight.
Maybe his phone grabbed our network by accident, some automated thing. Or maybe a visitor he has, someone who walks over this way.
But the timing refused to be accidental. No stray signals stuck to a schedule this strict. He knew it, even if he wasn't ready to admit it. Joseph closed the laptop. The data had just shrunk his world from a curiosity to a house with a name on the mailbox and a question he couldn't shake. Joseph let the week pass, then chose a Thursday. He kissed Margaret goodbye and walked out with his library badge, the same routine as always. But instead of the library, he drove 2 blocks away, parked and walked back through the quiet suburban streets. At 12:15, he slipped his key into the lock and eased the front door open without a sound. The house was still, but not empty. From the hallway, behind the closed bedroom door, came Margaret's voice, low, cooing, a tone Joseph hadn't heard in years. He couldn't make out the words, only the intimacy.
That's not a nap. That's not a headache. That's a conversation meant for someone else.
A floorboard creaked inside. Joseph's heart lurched. He retreated silently, pulling the front door closed, and stood on the porch, breath caught. He didn't go back in. He drove to a coffee shop and sat in the parking lot until 1:30. That evening, after Margaret had gone for her nap, he opened the router log. The entry was there. The unknown device had disconnected at 12:22, 6 minutes after he'd walked through the door.
It knew I was home. Someone saw me or heard me and cut the line.
He closed the laptop and sat in the dark. The data had stopped whispering. It was shouting, and he could no longer pretend not to hear. The next Tuesday, Joseph left for the library, then circled back and parked on a side street with a clear view of his own front door. At 11:55, his front door opened. Margaret stepped out, locked it, and began walking quickly toward the blue house at the end of Maple Drive.
There it is. No nap. Just a walk down the street.
He watched her reach the side door of Richard Sayers' house. She had a key and slipped inside as if she'd done it 100 times. The dashboard clock read 12:02. Joseph's hands tightened around the steering wheel, knuckles white. For over an hour, the street stayed still. The blue house sat under the sun, giving up nothing. At 1:10, the side door opened. Margaret emerged, adjusting her coat, and walked back the same way she came.
She's done this more times than I can count, right under my nose.
He waited until she was inside their house, then drove home, in silence, the engine louder than any words he could find. He walked in to find Margaret humming in the kitchen. She asked about his shift. He said it was fine and retreated to his study. In his study, Joseph sat motionless. Then he remembered Helen Callahan's doorbell camera, aimed at the street.
She told me it records every passerby. If the camera has what I suspect.
He walked to Helen's house and knocked on the door.
Joseph, come in. You look like you've seen a ghost.
A missing package, I am afraid. Could I see your doorbell recordings from the past week?
She plugged in her phone, and the television showed a grid of recordings from noon each weekday. The video played Margaret in her gray coat, walking toward the blue house, then returning.
Can you save those clips? I'll come back with a USB drive.
I already keep a few. Here, let me send them to you.
Joseph left with his phone full of evidence. The truth was now captured, not just seen. That night, while Margaret slept, Joseph sat alone with his laptop. He opened the first clip. The timestamp, 12:01 p.m. Margaret's gray coat moved toward the blue house.
Every walk matched a login. The Wi-Fi graph and the doorbell footage told the same story.
He scrolled through 8 recordings. Identical. The walk, the key, the hour.
2 years. This had been happening for 2 years while I read to children at the library.
He transferred the clips to a USB, then opened the router log for a side-by-side alignment.
They matched to the second. No gap, no innocent explanation.
He slipped the USB into his desk drawer, next to old bank statements and a photo of Lucas. He closed the laptop, plunging the room into darkness. Margaret's breathing from the bed was even. Joseph stared at the ceiling. The data had done its work. He wasn't ready to let it change everything. Not yet. At the dinner table the next evening, Lucas stabbed his broccoli and talked between bites, his project file open on a tablet beside his plate.
But that mystery phone still shows up every weekday. It's like clockwork, always at noon. The most interesting part.
It's just a stray signal, sweetheart. Nothing to build a whole chart around.
She knows exactly which phone it is, and she's pretending it's nothing.
I am gonna put it on my graph. It's like a detective story, a secret device.
Keep it generic, Luke. Show the trend, Not the time and place. Judges like overall patterns.
After dinner, they moved to the craft table. The display board lay open, scientific headings waiting.
You think the mystery phone is a neighbor who just leaves their Wi-Fi on all week?
Could be. Technology is full of noise. The best projects show the big picture. Let's focus on that.
Joseph pointed to a chart showing total daily usage. The anomalous device became a tiny footnote, swallowed in the data. Lucas pasted it down. The truth stayed hidden. 2 nights later, Lucas was at a friend's house. Joseph had asked Margaret to stay home, and now they faced each other across the kitchen table.
Margaret, I want to talk about your weekday afternoons, specifically what you do while I am at the library.
My afternoons, I nap. I've told you that a dozen times. Why are you acting so strange?
Every weekday at noon. Exactly when I am gone. The timing is very precise.
He opened the laptop and turned the screen toward her. The router log filled the display. A single entry was highlighted: the unknown device connecting at noon and disconnecting at 1 every weekday.
I don't know anything about that. Maybe it's a neighbor's phone.
This isn't a stray phone. It's not a glitch. It connects every time I leave. You know whose phone it is.
Joseph, please. You are scaring me.
The silence after her words was heavier than the truth he already knew. Joseph waited.
The device is an iPhone 12. I traced the signal. It comes from Richard Sayers' house.
Richard, he's a neighbor. I barely know him.
I saw you walk there. I watched you use a key and disappear inside.
Margaret's mouth opened, but before she could deny it, Joseph turned the laptop again. A video clip began to play. The doorbell footage showed her gray coat crossing the lawn at 12:01 p.m., then returning at 1:10 p.m.
Number. No, it's not what you think.
Tell me the truth, Margaret.
It's been 2 years. I am so sorry, Joseph.
Joseph's hand, resting on the table, began to tremble. The words hung in the air, irreversible. The data was no longer a whisper. It stood between them, raw and undeniable.
Joseph, please. You were gone so many hours. I was lonely. Richard, he was just there.
Joseph listened, his face a mask of stone. The excuses rolled off him like rain on a roof.
I can't believe you anymore, Margaret. There's no coming back from this. The marriage is over.
You don't mean that. We can fix this. I'll stop seeing him. I swear.
Number. You've been lying for 2 years. I can't trust a single word.
He stood up, pushing back his chair. Margaret's sobs grew louder, but he didn't reach out. He walked past her, down the hallway, and into the guest room. The door clicked shut. In the kitchen, her crying echoed against the walls. The house, once full, now felt hollow.
40 years gone. Because a Wi-Fi log told the one story she never wanted me to read.
Joseph sat on the edge of the spare bed, the weight of the decision pressing down. Outside the door, the silence grew. The next morning, Joseph sat at his desk and opened a blank document. He began typing a petition for divorce. He called a family law attorney and scheduled a consultation. The words were clinical, final. Then he scrolled through apartment listings on his phone, his finger hovering over one-bedroom units in quiet parts of the county. Later, he found Margaret in the kitchen and sat her down. The air was heavy with yesterday's tears.
We need to decide what to tell Lucas.
What do you suggest?
We tell him we grew apart, that it's no one's fault. He doesn't need the truth.
Margaret nodded, eyes red. The lie was simple enough to hold. Joseph pulled a duffel bag from the closet and began filling it with shirts and trousers. His side of the closet already looked sparse.
He'll never know. That's the only gift I can give him now.
That evening, Joseph and Margaret called Lucas into the kitchen. The boy came in, his science fair notebook still open in his hand.
Lucas, your grandmother and I have something to tell you.
What's wrong? Is it about my project?
No, sweetheart. It's about us. We've decided to live apart.
Why? If it's the project, I can stop. I'll stop.
No, Luke. The project is wonderful. This is not about you, not one bit. It's just grown-up stuff.
Lucas's face crumpled. His notebook slid to the floor. Joseph wrapped his arms around the boy. Margaret put a hand on his back. Later, on the couch, Lucas sobbed into Joseph's sweater. Margaret stood in the hallway, watching. Joseph held him, whispering that it would be okay. Inside, he felt the secret press like a stone against his ribs. Joseph stood in the doorway, a key cold in his hand. Boxes lined the walls, his new life in cardboard. He opened his laptop on a folding table, logged into the video call. Lucas's face popped up, project board behind him.
Grandpa, I added the line chart. See how the usage drops at night?
Looks sharp, Luke. The judges will love that. What about the summary card?
Almost done. I wrote that device behavior shows household routines. I left out the mystery phone.
Perfect. Sometimes the best data is the broad pattern, not the outlier.
They scrolled through graphs, Joseph pointing from miles away. The distance felt smaller on screen. When the call ended and the screen went dark, Joseph stared at his own reflection in the black rectangle. He still heard Lucas. "You'll be at the fair, Grandpa," he promised without pause.
I'll be there, even if everything else is gone.
The weekend before the fair, Joseph drove to the house. He found Lucas at the kitchen table, the display board spread open, graphs and labels scattered.
I printed the usage charts. See how the whole neighborhood quietens at night and hums during the day. It's like a heartbeat.
Joseph leaned over, red pen in hand, scanning the board for any note that pointed to a single device at a single hour.
Let's label this one unknown device number 2 and strip the timestamp. Keep it abstract. Judges like trends, not mysteries.
Lucas pasted the corrected label. The mystery entry now just a footnote in the data ocean.
I think it's ready. Can I practice my speech? I want to get the wording right.
Go ahead, Luke. I am all ears. You'll be great.
Lucas stood beside the board, pointer in hand, and recited the scientific method. He explained device connections and daily cycles, never once mentioning the ghost phone or the noon spike.
You sound like a real scientist. I am proud of you, Luke.
The board stood complete, bright and innocent. Joseph felt the secret twist in his chest, but he smiled and clapped for his grandson, who had no idea what his project truly unraveled. The gymnasium glowed with fluorescent lights and the low hum of parents. A banner at the entrance read Annual Science Fair. Today.
Grandpa, help me with the tripod. The board has to be perfectly straight, or the judges will think I am sloppy.
It's level. Take a breath. You've practiced this 100 times. Just talk to them like you talk to me.
2 judges approached, clipboards in hand. Lucas straightened his shoulders and began pointing to the usage graph.
I analyzed my household's Wi-Fi activity over 6 weeks. The data shows clear daily rhythms, peak usage in the evening, silence at night.
Joseph watched from the side, his hands clasped behind his back. The judges nodded at Lucas's explanation, one scribbling a note. Across the hall, Margaret stood near the exit in a pale dress, keeping her distance. Her eyes met Joseph's for a half-second before she looked away.
She came. Lucas will be happy. That's all that matters.
Lucas finished his presentation with a deep breath, then gestured to the summary card. One judge smiled genuinely. Joseph didn't move. Pride and sadness warred in his eyes, but he didn't let the sadness show. Lucas had earned this moment, untainted. The principal stepped to the microphone, tapping it twice. "Second place," she announced, "goes to Lucas Walker for his analysis of household Wi-Fi patterns."
That's me, Grandpa. I got second.
Lucas rushed toward the stage, his feet barely touching the floor. Joseph's eyes burned, a tight smile breaking through. A judge pinned the blue ribbon to his lanyard and shook his hand. Lucas beamed. the ribbon trembling with his heartbeat. Lucas jumped off the stage and ran back to Joseph, crashing into a hug that nearly knocked the older man off balance.
Are you proud, Grandpa? Tell me you are proud.
More than you'll ever know, Luke. More than you'll ever know.
Across the gym, Margaret clapped, her hands trembling. Tears traced lines through her makeup, but she didn't approach. The applause swelled around them. For a single suspended moment, nothing else existed. Not the empty house, not the locked-away proof. The data didn't lie. But in this moment, Joseph held the one truth that mattered. Lucas had won, and the secret would stay buried. Joseph eased the car onto the darkening road, the science fair board resting in the back seat. Lucas buckled in, blue ribbon still clutched in his fist.
That was the best. I can't believe I got second place. Next year, I want to do a whole network map of the neighborhood.
Joseph nodded, his hands steady on the wheel. Lucas's chatter filled the car like a balloon of innocent triumph.
You know, I still think about that one phone. The mystery device. Maybe it was a ghost phone, like a spirit haunting our Wi-Fi.
Joseph's grip tightened on the steering wheel. The dashboard clock glowed 5:12, but his mind flashed to a different noon, a different silence.
Sometimes data shows us patterns we can't explain. That's what makes science interesting. Some mysteries just stay mysteries.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, Grandma said she'd bake me a cake tonight. She looked kind of sad at the fair, though.
A cake sounds perfect. And grown-ups sometimes have long days. Nothing for you to worry about, Luke.
Lucas gazed out the window, the ribbon limp in his palm, the ghost phone already forgotten. The road hummed beneath them. Joseph watched the road, knowing one pattern was all too human. But Lucas would never read that line in the data. The secret stayed locked in his chest. Joseph unlocked his apartment door. The quiet hit him like a wall. Boxes still lined the living room, half unpacked. He opened the desk drawer and retrieved the USB drive. It sat there like a cold relic of a life that no longer existed. He held it between two fingers, considering the trash bin. But instead, he set it inside a small metal lockbox. He wrote on a slip of paper, "Some truths only destroy." The pen pressed hard into the sheet. He folded the note, placed it in the lockbox, and snapped it shut. The key turned with a soft click. He stood by the window. The lockbox was now hidden in the closet behind old books. Outside, lights blinked.
It's my burden now. Lucas will never know what that data really meant.
He lay on the narrow bed, the mattress still unfamiliar. The lockbox was out of sight, but its weight remained. He closed his eyes. Lucas's smile from the fair glowed in his mind, a warmth against the darkness. Sleep came, and with it, the certainty that some truths were best left buried. Weeks later, Lucas visited Joseph's apartment. They sat at the desk, the laptop open and showing a photo of them at the science fair.
I brought the old project on a USB, Grandpa. Remember the mystery phone? I still think about it sometimes.
The spreadsheet filled the screen. Joseph's eyes found the line immediately. EF21, 12 p.m., a spike he knew too well.
A lot of numbers to scroll through, Luke. You saved every last entry.
Every detail. I kept saying it was a ghost phone. Maybe one day we'll know whose it was.
Joseph reached over and gently closed the laptop. The screen went black, the file out of sight.
That project was something special. You put your heart into it.
It was the best, and you helped me with every chart.
You taught me a lot about data, Luke. More than you know.
Later, after Lucas had gone, Joseph sat alone, the closed laptop before him. He exhaled, locking the moment away. The secret stayed buried. Another evening settled over the small apartment. Joseph sat at the desk, the only light pooling from the lamp. His eyes drifted to the closet where the lockbox was hidden, then to the framed photo of him and Lucas at the fair. The photo showed Lucas grinning, ribbon pinned to his lanyard. That moment was real, untouched by what came before.
He smiled, that rare one that reached his eyes.
In the silence, he whispered to the empty room.
I did the right thing.
The silence answered him. No judgment, no echo, just stillness. He turned back to the laptop. The screen showed the library volunteer schedule for the coming week. He began to type, filling afternoon slots. The routine was simple, but it was his. The lockbox stayed in the dark, unopened. The secret was heavy, but Joseph carried it, and it did not break him. Joseph finished typing the last schedule entry. His hand rested on the keyboard for a moment still. He closed the laptop lid. The screen's glow vanished, swallowing the numbers and the log that had undone his world. He clicked off the desk lamp. The room fell into near darkness, only the faint city lights bleeding through the window. The closed laptop sat like a sealed vault. Beside it, the framed photo of Lucas and Joseph at the science fair caught the last sliver of light. For a long beat, the camera held on the photo, Lucas grinning, the blue ribbon pinned to his chest. Then the darkness grew. The photo faded into shadow. The screen went black. A single line appeared in red, stark and inevitable. The data didn't lie. The words held for a moment, then faded into the silence.